With this in our series on felony defense, we're going to talk about dealing with the prosecutor. This is for me, but it's just to let you know what I'm going through, what we're dealing with. Dealing with the prosecutor is a whole different animal. So I think what we'll start off by telling you, there's basically two types of prosecutors. So the first really is trying to figure out what's justice in this situation. Somebody's accused you of a crime, you've been charged. Like, what would really be a fair way to resolve this? And there are those that are out there. I've even had some where I could show them, hey, I think you got the wrong person, or this stuff isn't adding up right, and they'll go ahead and drop it. So those prosecutors are out there. Then the other type that you have is the type that basically they just get off on hurting people and punishing people. They want to see you in prison. They're just mean about it. And we run into those too. You also need to understand the structure in which the prosecutor is working under. So you have the elected prosecutor, that won the election. That's the one that you see on the news and in the newspaper, all that. Then underneath them, they have a bunch of what they call deputy district attorneys or assistant district attorneys. Those are the ones that by and large we're working with on a day-to-day basis. So these assistants, these deputies, they're having to follow their orders from the elected prosecutor or from the ones that are above them. So they don't have free rein just to do anything that they want to do. And these offices will take on the mentality of the elected prosecutor. So like over in Lonoke, that prosecutor, he's really trying to look to find justice and fairness. We get plenty of fair deals. We get great results over there. They're really not trying to screw people over. They want you in there one time, get you out. White County's completely different. That prosecutor is just all about punishing people, being able to run over to the churches, saying how tough they are on crime, and it's a whole different mentality. We have the same charge in Lonoke. My advice will be one way, and versus over at Clyde, my advice will be another way. Now, that's what we're dealing with. And then you got to remember, they're overworked, there's thousands of cases, they're blowing through all this. They're worried about their career and getting advanced with convictions and not making mistakes rather than being concerned about you. So you have to understand that dynamic of what they're going through. And there's only certain situations where I get to talk to them. They're not going to look at your case until the day of or the day before a hearing. So there's no point in me calling them 3 weeks before it because they're not going to take my call and they're not going to know anything about it, even when I do. It's hard for us to get information from the prosecutor or to get some movement from them. So generally speaking, whenever you see that you have a court date coming up, usually I'm only going to talk to the prosecutor either right before it or even that morning of. It's just how they're used to working, and it's just part of what we're used to dealing with. So then how I negotiate with them, it depends on the person and it depends on the evidence in our case. The biggest thing for us is we're trying to figure out where's that point where the prosecutor's blood. All right. And they will tell us things like, here's the offer, this is it, it's fine. And we're having to gauge like, well, is it really final or will it do better? Or they'll do these games of, here's the offer, you've got to take it by this date or it comes off the table. And we're having to figure out if that's real or not. We had a trial just the other day, client charged with the felony. I was trying to get the prosecutor to amend it to a misdemeanor. Kept telling the prosecutor, we'll take it if it's a misdemeanor, no problem. Wouldn't do it. And then we got 5 days before trial, all of a sudden they would do it. So those sorts of things happen. It can be really frustrating on your end because you're wanting to get a better decision from the prosecutor. You're wanting them to see things your way, but it's just a dance that we got to go through. It's one of those things, you just got to have a feel for it. If you bug them too much, then they're going to come down and bring the lumber on you. There's just a delicate situation how you do it. You also have to know how to ask for certain things. I always ask for a reduction in the fine right at the last second because they don't care about it at the last second. They'll give me a much better deal. They're real concerned about their trial record. And so one thing that you're not seeing, but that we're hearing, we're keeping an eye on what's going on with their other cases, and they'll get a little antsy. They'll take one to trial and lose it, and they're feeling upset. And then other times, like we got a prosecutor right now, just won a big case up in Independence. So he's cracking down on all of his because he's feeling really good until he gets me. We're always communicating with that office. We're always negotiating. It's just not going to move at the speed that you want. And we can't do anything dirty or underhanded with the prosecutor because we're working with them on all of our other clients. And so we can't burn those bridges. And when we get a good deal for you, it's because we've spent years building up that reputation with those prosecutors, and we're going to continue doing it. The long and short of all this is that at some point in all this, we're going to get an offer from that prosecutor. You and I are going to visit on it. We're going to see if that's what's best for you. And then if not, we're going to proceed to trial. Thanks.